What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to the Uncommon Mindset podcast. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest. Today, I'm joined by Josh Varnell. I'll just give you a brief background on who Josh is. Josh, most of you might know him as Hairy Tornado. Josh is a full-time reseller and also a YouTuber where he has more than 100,000 subscribers. Josh went from being laid off from his job and now is living the life where he is his own boss and is having so much fun doing what he does. He is someone who I have watched and gained so much value over the last 2 years. Honestly, this guy is such an uncommon individual and it's such an honor to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you, man. I'm excited to be here.
No worries, Josh. So I believe that the best part to start this podcast would be to take it back. So just talk to me about like when you got into reselling, what reselling is, why you got into it, and obviously I mentioned there, being laid off your job and stuff like that. Just talk to me about that.
Yeah. So reselling is basically where you buy things for one price and you try to sell them for a higher price. Generally, it's buying from, in my model at least, it's buying from thrift stores and yard sales, and then selling on online platforms. Anytime you can buy something where it's being made available to like a small market, and you can buy that and make that same product available to a much significantly larger market, that's where you can find your profit. Thrift stores might sell shoes for $6 or $7 because there's only maybe a couple hundred people walking in the store every day. But if you can go buy those shoes and then put them on eBay or Mercari or Poshmark, where there's millions of people looking to buy shoes, that's where you can command a little bit of a profit for yourself. So I've been reselling. I sold my first thing on eBay on Halloween, October 31st of 2018. And at the time I was an insurance, I was an insurance agent back in like 2015, 2016. And then I became an insurance underwriter. And then that's the job I was working while I started reselling. And I was reselling for about a year or so before I was laid off from that job suddenly. And I was just like, well, let's just go for it and see what happens. At the time I was maybe making like $500 a month or so from reselling. And then I had the YouTube channel as well. But it wasn't making money yet. I just got monetized like the week before I got laid off. So it was a little scary at first, but I wasn't nervous because I knew I already had about a year of experience with both YouTube and reselling. And I was like, it works. If I have an extra 45 hours a week to devote to this, I'm sure I could, surpass my income that I just lost and then some. And that's exactly what's happened over the last year and a half, 2 years or so.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you're a big fan of Graham Stephan, right?
Yeah.
And I was just watching a video of him and he mentioned that he said it's important to not just jump at it straight away, to put all your eggs in one basket, right? It's good to have it as a side hustle at first and then obviously ease your way into it. But yeah, no, that's amazing. Do you feel like reselling is something that's going to keep growing, or do you think that as time goes on it will eventually, people won't end up selling as much on eBay or anything like that?
That's a good question. I think, the whole idea of buying and selling things for a profit is the oldest form of business in the world. That's always going to be around to some degree. I think the challenge comes with how easy is it going to be to find profitable items to sell. I think there's always going to be people that are willing to pay for items. But with more and more people getting into reselling every single day, that's good for the YouTube side of things because people are watching my channel and discovering me for the first time. But then when I see people in thrift stores, they're like, oh, I watched your channel and I just got here 5 minutes before you and found these shoes for $6 that sell for $100. I'm like, that's great. Good job. That doesn't happen very often. And I think, I don't know, I think a lot of people are interested in the side hustles and making extra cash, but very few people have the ability to put in the work that it takes to make significant amounts of money with reselling. It's hard work. I've never worked harder than this in my entire life. And I've worked hard. So yeah. I do think it's going to be around for a while, but I think in terms of a percentage, like how many people start versus how many people make it to where they can make it a full-time income for them and their family, that's going to be very small. I think a lot of people can do it as, side cash, making gas money, making entertainment money, but to make a full-time living, it takes serious commitment and lots of work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they think of reselling, or even when they look at it, all they see is you buy it for cheap and you sell it for more. They don't see where you have to clean the product, where you have to take photos, where you have to list it, where you have to actually go and buy the product. It takes time, right? Because I know from experience, because I've been doing reselling for about 4 years now or so, but I've been doing it on the side. Basically, I'm from the UK, and where I go is like charity shops or recycle centers, garage sales, we call it boot sales. And
Mhm.
yeah, it takes time. It does take time. Now I'm working a full-time job as well. Like I'm working for insurance as well, which is kind of funny.
Oh yeah.
uh, yeah, but like at night times after I come back from MMA training, like I just spend like an hour or two, taking photos and stuff like that. But the best part for me, I believe, and I think you've said this before as well, is when you actually go and buy the products, right? That's the best part of
Yeah.
reselling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely the most fun, because that's where you're like, oh, I just paid $5 for this and it's worth 100. I'm like, it's worth 100 if it sells. Like, you've got to test it, make sure it works, and clean it and take photos, and see if there's other of the same item listed on eBay or another platform. Then you have competition. Then you like, oh, I better price it just under theirs, so I have the upper hand. So yeah, like you said, there's a ton that goes into it behind the scenes. And I think you have to enjoy the process. Like, I sell a lot of shoes, and I love the whole process of shoes, finding them, cleaning them. Um, Obviously I can't test them out, but they're easy to ship. Some people don't like them. I do. My
Yeah.
friend Tim, he was in a recent video. He does a lot of bigger items like typewriters and printers and vacuums, and he makes a ton of money. But I'm not interested in stuff that large. It takes up so much space, and it's hard to test and hard to ship. So with reselling, there there are so many ways to win, so many ways to make money that you can. I mean, there are some resellers that only do video games, that only do vacuum cleaners, whatever. Like, you can do whatever you want under the umbrella of reselling.
Yeah. And I noticed earlier, you mentioned where people reach out to you and they say that I bought this thing and I sold it for more, and you always say, oh, great job. But I know there's a different side to reselling as well, right? Where people are not happy for your success. Have
Mhm.
you ever encountered that at all? Have you ever had anyone, when you're going to garage sales, with a camera, they're saying, what are you doing? Why are you recording this? Or anything like that?
So with the camera, I've a couple garage sales, somebody would like ask me like what the camera's for, and I just tell them I have a YouTube channel where I, record what I find at garage sales, and they're like, "Oh, that's interesting." Nobody's ever like asked me to stop or anything like that. I kind of wish they would, because then that would make a good YouTube video. Like, they made me stop filming at this sale.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, nobody. I think in reselling and like flipping and finding stuff that's worth a lot, most people are really happy for you. Like, that's awesome. Somebody's got to find it, and I'm happy when people find those deals. YouTube side of things, I mean, I've had some success on YouTube. I make more money with my YouTube channel than I do with reselling. And I think that sometimes kind of like rubs people the wrong way, maybe. But again, it's just, we're just trying to run a business. As long as you're not doing anything, immoral or unethical or whatever, and you're just having success, you're always going to have people that either get jealous or, I think usually it's jealousy, but I don't know. We've been super blessed with the business and in all aspects. And social media, anytime you have success at all, the haters are just kind of part of the process. If you don't have haters, you're not successful yet.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. This is literally exactly what I was about to say. That's amazing. Like you mentioned there, you obviously have a YouTube channel. You also do reselling.
Mhm.
I believe when people are doing reselling, right, it's tough to just stick to reselling. You need to do other things apart
Yeah.
from that as well, right? You don't have to mention this, but can you just mention all the sources, all the things that you have that bring you income in?
Yeah,
Is it just
sure.
YouTube and reselling, or is
Yeah,
there more
I
to that?
think I mean, reselling is awesome, and I think you can make a lot of money just with reselling,
Mm,
but Yeah, I know a couple people that are making between 150 and $200,000 a year just with reselling. But I mean, it's usually like a husband and wife team, and they have other employees, and they have warehouses, and they have systems in place that they've developed over 5 or 6 years, and they've really found a way to make things work. But for most people, I mean, I think most full-time resellers are probably going to make like $50,000 a year. Like if you do that as a full-time reseller working by yourself with no employees or anything like that, I think that's good. That would be considered good. So obviously it depends on where you live in the world. If you could live on $50,000 a year. I live in South Carolina in the United States. And that's, I think the average family income here for like a family of four is like 52,000 a year.
Mm.
So we could definitely live on that. But going into reselling, I kind of had that thought in my head that like, okay, this may not be around forever. Like, I don't know what reselling is going to look like in 40 years. So I don't want to go into it putting all my eggs in one basket. So that's why I started the YouTube channel. I didn't think it was ever going to make any money, but I was like, at least I can have something else to fall back on, worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So I have my YouTube channel, and then with that, that has like a bunch of different income streams under that, because we have Amazon affiliates where I like link all my Amazon products. YouTube AdSense, of course. We have sponsorships where companies pay me directly to do ads for them in my videos. I used to do like coaching calls. I don't do them anymore, but it wasn't really worth my time. It was like, I think I was charging like $25 an hour because
Wow.
I was just like, I was so nervous about charging people for advice that I just wasn't charging enough to be worth my time. So I don't do that anymore.
Mm.
Um, we have, the reselling side of things. I sell on eBay, Mercari, and Poshmark now. So I guess those are three different sources of income.
Mm.
Um, my wife still currently works, do a little bit of investing, like on Robinhood. So there's a lot that goes into it. I would love to add even more income streams, like get some rental properties or um, just open a small business. We had this in the United States. I don't know if you guys have them here, but we have these like ice ice buildings. Basically, it's like a big ice vending machine where you go, and it's maybe like 10 feet long by like 8 feet wide. There's nobody in there. It's just like a big building. People could go put money in and get bags of ice. I'm like, I would love to open one of those somewhere, because usually they're like in parking lots.
Yeah.
So you probably can just lease a little bit of land from the owner, and then you build it, and then you just make money with it as long as it makes ice. So
That's
I thought that
awesome.
was pretty cool. But I don't know. We're saving money right now. Just waiting for an opportunity to get invested in something else that would give us another income stream. But of course, right now is not a great time to invest in anything other than cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Which I've done terrible on so far.
I have too, man. I'm down. I'm down big time.
Yeah. Um, no, when you mentioned that, you done some coaching calls with people, but you didn't want to charge them that much money. The thing is, with your YouTube channel, I honestly, you probably get this all the time, but you provide so much value for other people. Like I've learned so much just from watching you. I watch Rally Roots, Cincinnati Picker. I watch, all these people, right? But because let's say, for example, I watch your video and you pick out a game, and I'm like, if I went to a garage sale or anything like that, if that game came across me, I probably wouldn't have looked at it. But because I saw it in your video, I'm like, oh, wait, I saw Josh sell this.
Yeah.
This sells for good money. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing. No, it's
I've
really,
learned, like when I
yeah,
started, I didn't know anything, man. Like 2 years ago, I didn't know that, NCAA 2014 football. I was like, oh, that's an old sports game. That's worthless. But now I know it's worth like $100.
yeah,
So I'm still learning. Like I think if you're a reseller, the most important thing for you to do in your business is to always be learning other products. You can do that by watching YouTube videos. You can do that by just going to eBay and just like typing in a random category like used video games, filter to show all the ones that have sold. You can filter to show like used condition as well, and then filter the results to show highest to lowest. You can see this is the most expensive video game in used condition that is sold on eBay in the last 90 days. And you're like, okay, I better look out for that one if I ever see it at a garage sale. So sometimes I haven't done that much, but at night, if I didn't have anything else to do, I would just go to eBay and just like search waffle maker or vacuum or anything, and just search and see what brands and models were selling for the most money. And that's helped me a good bit for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it saves you from scanning the product
Yeah.
when you're out and about, right? It saves you
Yeah.
time. Yeah, no, 100%. What would you recommend? Let's say, for example, if someone wants to get into reselling, but they don't know where to start, what would you recommend that person?
I think the best way to start is just by selling stuff you already own. The first like three things I listed on eBay were like just clothing items from my own closet. Just sell as much of your own stuff as you possibly can, because you can always buy it back later, even if it's stuff that you like video games or whatever. Um, I don't think the video game market is going to go up much more. So if you've got like a Nintendo Wii with like Mario Kart and Mario whatever, all those games, you could sell those, make some money, get some experience selling, and then if a year from now, if you want that stuff back, you can just go buy it for basically the same price you sold it.
Yeah,
So sell everything you can that you can't that's possible to buy again. Don't sell any family heirlooms or anything like that. But yeah, just start with stuff you already own. Start small, like both in price and size. I've seen a lot of people start and they want to sell huge stereos or like wheelbarrows. I'm like, you have no idea what you're doing. You don't know how to ship stuff yet. Like,
yeah,
don't sell big stuff until you know what you're doing with shipping, because you can lose pretty much all of your profit very easily. So I think video games is the best thing to start with, because they're super lightweight, easy to ship, easy to they sell fast. I did a challenge recently, the 30 days starting from zero challenge.
yeah. What's
Started a
that?
brand new eBay store, had like 5 feedback. Then I found a bunch of video games, listed them in that store with 5 feedback, and they all sold within 24 hours. People
Yeah,
don't care if you don't have a lot of feedback if you're selling good items. I think a
yeah,
lot of people that message me are confused because they're like, oh, I've got 30 or 40 listings up and I haven't really sold anything. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I look at their store and they're selling, used coffee mugs that are super common, and like dirty plush animals that are super common.
yeah.
So you just got to make sure you're selling things that people actually want, things that have a demand. If you're selling junk, nobody's going to buy it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And people need to be aware as well that there's loads of fees, like you mentioned, with the shipping, with eBay fees, right? I
Mhm.
remember the first item I sold on eBay, I forgot what it was, but I thought I made like £20 and I was so happy. And then I went into it and I only made like £15. I was like, wait, where's the £5 gone? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, eBay's taking it. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so
People
funny.
get really turned off by fees, and they're like, I'm going to go sell on Facebook or Mercari. I'm like, both Facebook and Mercari still charge you fees. Like any
Yeah,
online selling platform. Facebook does have some promotions that they run from time to time, but for the most part, you're going to pay about the same on any platform. Poshmark is like 20%. Mercari is now like 13, I think, because they have like a transaction fee or something.
mhm.
eBay is like 12 to 13. So that's just part of it, part of the deal.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And the 30-day challenge that you did, that was so good because it shows people that you don't have to have you don't have to have much, or you don't even have to have any money to actually go out and start reselling. Like you found the Nike golf bag, right? Just
Yeah.
on the side of a road. You sold that for $30 and just went from there. It's so powerful. Reselling is so powerful. And I
Mhm.
feel like anyone can do it, right? Anyone can just get
Yeah,
into it.
100%, 100%, man. Like there's been times in my life when I did not have a lot of money. Back in this is maybe like 10 years ago, I was super poor. Like I quit a job that I hated, and I didn't have another job lined up, but I was like confident that I could find another one because it was just a minimum wage job. I'm like, it can't do any worse than this, so I might as well just quit and see what happens. But I couldn't find a job, and I remember had like $9 like left to my name, and I went to the grocery store and I was trying to buy groceries for like 2 weeks for like $9. And looking back, I'm like, man, if I would have known about reselling back then, like, I mean, just in the 30-day challenge video, finding stuff literally for free on the side of the road and selling it for $30 same day. I mean, that would have completely changed my life. So
Yeah.
hindsight, I don't think there's any point in looking back at your life and wishing differently, because it all made you who you are today. But that time in my life would have been a lot easier to get through if I had known about reselling.
No, 100%. Yeah, 100%. What are your goals at the moment, Josh? Have you set yourself any goals for YouTube, for reselling itself?
Not really. I'm happy with how everything has been growing over the last couple of years. And if I can just maintain like this life that I have now, I would be ecstatic. I think with YouTube, if you start to get too big with reselling, like if you get a warehouse and employees and you're ordering, semi trucks filled with inventory every week, your YouTube audience isn't going to be able to like relate to that at all. Like, oh, I spent $30,000 on the semi truck and we sold it for $40,000. So I made $10,000 in profit. Well, very few people have $30,000 to spend on a truck of inventory, and employees to process all of it. So I think I should focus on like scaling the YouTube side of things and keeping the reselling side of things like small, like in our garage, just going to thrift stores, yard sales. That way people can see themselves as doing this. I'm like, I'm just some guy. I'm not like some, business mogul, like making millions of dollars. I might be making millions of dollars, but it'll probably be on like the social media side of things instead of with the reselling side.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, what you're doing at the moment is just going to keep growing and growing. And because I remember when I was watching you, I think you had like 20,000 subscribers and
Mhm.
now you've got over 100,000. It's incredible, right? The growth
Yeah.
is amazing. In 2 years is incredible. Yeah. What's been I know the answer to this because I watched your recent video, but what's been the best buy that you've had and you sold, quickly and made like a lot of money from it?
Yeah, for sure. So last weekend, my wife and I went to a garage sale, and I found a box with like some N64 controllers on top of it. And so I opened the box, and there was an Xbox in there. And then I lifted up the Xbox, and it was an N64 console, and like I think it was like 18 N64 games. So I just asked him how much he wanted for the whole box, and he said $20, which is absolutely insane. So I bought it, of course. And after I made the video, I probably had 50 people ask me about it, like wanting to buy stuff. And I knew it would sell quickly. And I had a guy wanting all of it. He's like, I'll take the console, all the controllers, all the games, everything. So I sold it to him for $600. So that was, I mean, it basically like within 24 hours, turning $20 into 600. So that was my best flip to date.
That's incredible. Yeah, I was watching the video and it's just incredible. When people say like that price as well, when they're like $20, you try to hold the excitement in, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be making so much money from it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
And even if it was more expensive, like even if he would have said $100, like
Mm,
I would still have been excited because, like I said, video games sell so fast.
yeah,
Like if it was paying $20 for something that would sell for 600, but take 3 years to sell, like some vintage hat collection or something, like I probably wouldn't be that excited about it. I may not even buy it because I don't like selling hats. But with
mhm,
video games, like once that stuff is listed, it's gone. Like if it's priced right, it is sold immediately within the same day.
yeah.
So we were super happy. Like even when we found it and saw everything, I was getting excited because I didn't care what he was asking. I was just excited that I was going to have those products to sell because they sell so well. And then I was very excited when he told me the price.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Oh, no, it's amazing. Do you think that you'll stick at reselling then, for a while? I guess you enjoy it, right? And
Yeah, for sure.
you're your own boss, right? So you wake up whenever you want. Obviously, garage sales are early in the morning, so you have to wake up early for that. But I guess you're kind of living the dream, your dream, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's I certainly never expected my life to be like this. I just thought when I was at my old insurance job, I'm like, okay, this is a nice job. We have a 401k and I have paid time off. I've never had a job with paid time off before. I thought that was like the best thing ever. And there was this lady that had worked at that company since she was like 16 or 17 years old, and she was like 63. So she was retiring in like 2 years, and she had worked at that. That's the only job she's ever had. I'm like, well, I guess this is a good place to work since that lady has literally spent her entire life here.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't know. It's crazy to think that like if I wouldn't have been laid off, I probably would still be there, and I probably would think I was happy. I'm like, oh, I have a stable job, I have PTO, like this is the dream. But
yeah,
then I got laid off and kind of got thrown into this, and now this is like truly the dream. I mean,
yeah.
I just got back from Utah, literally just flew to Utah just to go thrifting, and the first video was sponsored, so that sponsor actually paid for the whole trip and then some. Like my plane ticket, Uber, food, the thrift money I spent at thrift store, everything was paid for by, just one sponsor.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, man. Like I keep hoping I don't like wake up from a dream one day,
Yeah, it relates back to what you said earlier, right? Everything happens for a reason, and you are where you are at because of what's happened previously. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that you got laid off because
Me
I
too.
enjoy watching your YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll leave the link to your YouTube down below.
Okay.
I'm sure people have definitely come across yourself. The name is unique in itself, right? Hairy Tornado.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It was my Xbox gamer tag in college. I got a new Xbox and I was trying to come up with my online name. And I was like, I don't want to, everybody had dumb gamer tags like
Mm.
Josh 1990 or, all this stuff that is hard to read. I was like, I want something simple, just words, no numbers. So I was just like brainstorming with my roommates. I'm like, all right, what's something good? And I was standing there in the doorway with my shirt off and they're like, okay, well, you're hairy. I'm like, all right, that's the first word. And then we just kind of looked around the apartment and it was just messy. It was four of us, four guys living in a 2-bedroom apartment in college. So obviously you can imagine what that place looked like. Like, man, it's like a tornado went through here. I'm like, all right, hairy tornado. There we go.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's a good name for YouTube as well because a lot of people they have, something reseller, something flips. It's
Yeah.
constant, but yours is just hairy tornado. I love it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. But yeah, no, thank you so much, Josh. Honestly, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate everything you do, all the value that you provide. You probably don't know, but you provide a lot of value to more people than you think, because whenever someone watches your video, right, that's value in itself, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there anything that you want to say before I obviously let you go? Is there anything you want to say to your fans, I guess?
Just thank you. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it. This is a good experience. I'm happy to, speak to you from the other side of the pond.
Yeah,
Um, I love the internet and YouTube and social media, how so many people can, connect together. I've got people in the UK and South Africa that are like, hey, if you ever want to come over here, you can sleep in our guest house or whatever. I'm like, this is just crazy.
yeah.
Um, so YouTube's been a big blessing. I've met so many cool people and happy to um, add you to the list of people that I've quote met over the computer.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this was fun. I enjoyed it, and
No, thank you so much. Thank you. Hopefully I'll meet you in real life and we'll go to Goodwill or something and do
yeah,
something. Yeah. No, thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. I'll leave all of your social media down below as well if you want to go and check Josh out, guys. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your summer as well, 'cause summer's coming up. But yeah, thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.